Well, I'll tell you.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. For a safe and secure society.
So I'm calling on Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them into law.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Alrighty, our call and line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today, same as it ever hath been, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, I am KingDude at protonmail.com. KingDude at mikechurch.com works as well. And the Crusader Stadium chat room is open for your commentary at crusadechannel.com/chat. Today is the first day of new golden age of America. I'm glad the usual suspects as have World Economic Forum and all other stakeholders, that Klaus Schwab and his gang, they don't like it. That's a glorious thing, and you could never predicted who had Liberation Day on their bingo cards on January the 1st, 2025. I must confess that I didn't have it on there, although I knew something was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be this magnificent and this large of a project, or of a move. So we're doing show prep today, and Maggie's going like, "Why is Chuck Grassley trying to stop the tariffs?" And I said, I'm just going to guess, because I don't know exactly, but I'm just going to guess that he's trying to save John Deere's new manufacturing plant in Mexico. Because John Deere is headquartered in Dooley, Iowa. In case you didn't know. Too late, Chuck. That's, you know, there are so many people, so many good middle-class American farmers out there that used to do, they would have bled. They'd have gone into a battle and taken a bayonet for John Deere, and now they hate it. They hate everything about the company. They hate these DEI fake farming bastards. They hate the fact that they put regulators on the new John Deere equipment so that you can't work on it yourself. They hate the fact that you got to call one of their technicians. They hate the fact that it's got a GPS and a Wi-Fi on it, and they're basically being monitored of what they're farming and what they're doing from space. And so there was an act in the Nebraska legislature, I want to say, that Nebraska passed a law that basically said, hey, John Deere, hey, Lama, how about a little something, for the effort? The Nebraska legislature, I want to say 2 years ago, passed an act that said that a manufacturer of a machine that has an internal combustion engine in it of some sort cannot outlaw the people of Nebraska and bring fines and void warranties because Farmer Brown, old McDonald, literally wants to work on his own tractor on the weekends. And I'm not making that up, and I'm not trying to be frivolous about it. I realize that there are a lot of moving parts to these new tractors. Isn't that the problem? You know what we should do? Just for poops and giggles in the new paradigm. Maggie, put the pictures back in the chat room because people like them pictures. And show the people on YouBoob and wherever else they may be watching out there your dad's tractor, the one he just restored. Now, I was in a barn. I was in his barn about, let's see, this is April. So I guess it was when we were there in November for Thanksgiving. That tractor, you could see it right there in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. That tractor was disassembled. Those giant tires, those giant rear tires, I asked him, like, man, how did you get those things off? And he looked at me and goes, Church, very carefully. And so, those tires are off on the side. Look, I tried to pick one of the front tires up. Those jokers weigh 200 pounds. So it was completely disassembled all the way down to the axles because he had a leak. I want to say, was there a leak in the diesel line? I think it was a leak in the diesel. It was either in the oil line or in the diesel line. And he's going like, well, if I'm going to take all this stuff off to get to it, I might as well just take the whole darn thing off apart and rebuild it. And he did. He stripped it all the way down to the axles and to the frame so that you could get to all of it and he could repaint it. And, of course, fix the lines. He put new lines in it. That is a 1974 John Deere tractor. I've actually driven that thing after Hurricane Fran when we were doing all the cleanup work and helping him do the cleanup work. He taught me how to drive the thing. It's got 8 gears, 3 speeds. I think it can actually get up to like 45 miles an hour if you want to push it, if you put it in high. And what did he tell you when you talked to him the other day? No electronics. He goes, I will rebuild that tractor 10 more times. It's got no electronics on it. You just crank it and it runs. And that's what people want. So he's going back to an era, basically. That's almost 60 years ago that tractor was built. And look, that thing is a brute. The iron they made the chassis with. I'm looking at it going like, man, I'm just thinking, because I'm a nerd like this. The guys that welded this is before computerized, mechanized welding. The guys that welded this thing, they had to weld that beam across that entire part of that frame. And look how straight that thing is. In any event, this is the point I want to make here, and as the opening monologue of the program today. By the way, I'm going to make I think it's a big announcement. I'm going to do it at the top of the next hour. I like doing it in the middle of the program, so we'll do it at the top of the next hour. So stick around. Also going to announce that we are extending the $2.99 a month Founders Pass 1-year membership deal for one more day. So you got to go today. So many people responded and took me up on the offer. I'm like, you know what? I bet some people just didn't get the email, didn't open it, didn't get to it in time. So I'm going to extend it for one more day. crusadechannel.com/join. Coupon code is LIBERATION. It'll cost you $35.88 today. That's an 81% discount on a 1-year full-blown Founders Pass membership. So again, crusadechannel.com/join. I want to talk about paradigms. Because what we're in the middle of now here is a paradigm shift. This is not a change in policy. And I don't think that most people are grasping just the gravity of what is happening here. So the globalists that have been in charge for the last 60 years, Trump told them yesterday at that Rose Garden ceremony that we broadcast here, you're fired, I think is the word. Yeah, you're fired. You're fired. This is not a disagreement between our friends on the other side of the aisle. We disagree with them. This is not a disagreement over that. This is a complete and total refutation of the policy of the last 60 years. This is an attempt to say that the new world order that George H.W. Bush prophesied about in 1991 and proclaimed that this was the era of, he just spilled the beans is all he really did, that this new world order is being rendered, it is being ripped to pieces. It is being devastated as we speak. The tariffs are just one small part of it. And because I believe that this is a paradigm shift, And I'll explain what a paradigm is in just a moment, because it is a paradigm shift. This is like, imagine that, the Earth is like this. They call these things tectonic plates, right? When the plate that's on the top decides, hey, I'm getting kind of tired of being here. I think I want to move. And moves a little bit that way. That's called an earthquake. And what is happening is that this giant plate of Earth is sitting on, what was that TV show back in the 70s? Fraggle Rock. It was sitting on fragmented rocks. And as it moves over it, it's kind of skipping. It's what causes an earthquake. This is the Roosevelt New Deal economy and government and Murican world. And then pile that on top of that, the Lyndon Johnson crowning achievement of the war on poverty and all the rest of the left-hard programs we're stuck with here today. And then the giving away the manufacturing and selling all that off. That's this plate. This is the Trump play. This is the new golden age. We'll just call it what he calls it. This is the new golden age play going like, I think your plate's really bad for America. So it's not moving just like this. It's moving to cover it. And because it's moving to cover it, that's a paradigm shift. And I'm not opposed to paradigm shifts, and you shouldn't be either. So let's explain what a paradigm is, so everyone's on board. So a paradigm basically is kind of let's just say for simple purpose, to make it simple, it's a routine. What is the paradigm? Well, the paradigm is, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you make the coffee, you go take a run or a jog, or you work out or whatever, then you go get ready for work, and then at 6 you make you drink the coffee, you have the breakfast, and then because this is in the old paradigm, you hop into a vehicle or take public transportation to this place called work, and you work for a company that really doesn't make anything. They're in the service industry. You work at Chipotle, basically. And then you use the same highway byway system, and then you go home, and then you expect certain things in exchange for that. You expect that certain wages are going to be paid. You expect these things called benefits, and that the government is going to do or is going to make certain things. It is going to take care of a certain part of this. And you just keep rinsing and repeating. That's a paradigm. In some countries, they get up at different times. Some countries, they shut the entire thing down for 3 months because it's winter. But there is a cultural tradition that goes along with this, because baked into all of this stuff is, how many of you remember the commercials back in the 70s? Weekends were made for AMF. It was a bowling ball company, but it made bowling pins. It is a routine that is executed daily. Now, there are other paradigms, but in this, I'm using like a life paradigm here. How are things bought, sold, manufactured, etc.? Well, the paradigm shift occurred when it was decided, when the ruling elite globalist masters, that it didn't matter where the computer or the car or the school desk or the tractor, didn't matter where it was made. Long as Murican companies made more profit this year than they made last year, it didn't matter. And they convinced people, and they told people, look, we're going to do this, and it doesn't matter. So you need to conform your mind to the new reality that the location of manufacture of this product or that product doesn't matter. So we're not going to make them in America anymore. All of you people that work at that plant and that associated industry, you're all fired. You're going to learn how to code, they said. We're sending all this to the wonderful people in China, in Taiwan, and Vietnam, and in Mexico, and in some instances in Canada, and they're going to make it for us cheaper, and we're going to get it back, and you're going to save money on the purchase. Yeah, but we disemployed like 70 million people in the process. I wish someone would run that number and figure out how many direct manufacturer, construction, production jobs were offshored in the last 50 years. And get a number and extrapolate it out to today. So the paradigm was, it doesn't matter where it's made. All that matters is that American companies make a larger profit one year from the year before. And the paradigm also said that it doesn't matter what government you're dealing with here, and it doesn't matter what the effects are on families and on citizens. That was the paradigm. Don't worry about it. Learn how to code, get a job at Chipotle, get into financing and selling things that don't exist and practicing the dark art of usury, and just don't worry about it. We mapped all this out. It's going to be fantastic for all of you. Only it wasn't. So that was the paradigm. That paradigm is being destroyed. I keep telling people here on the Mike Church, or anyone that will listen to me, keep telling, and hopefully that number is going to rapidly increase. I keep telling people that to bring the stability of manufacturing back to the U.S., folks, I can't emphasize the point enough. Stability is what our forefathers had. Now, it is true. It is true, and we should talk about this. It is true, there was a paradigm shift in the early part of the 20th century that preceded the second modern paradigm shift. I've heard somebody break it down like this. Here are the ages of America. There is the founding age, which is from 1758 or so to 1791, when the Constitution is ratified, and the last of the two states, Rhode Island and North Carolina, ratified the Constitution. I think you can actually stretch that out to 1792 or 1790. Washington's first term was 1798. When Washington left our office, to me, that's the end of the founding era, because there were factions and there were wars. The Jeffersonians versus the Jeffersonian Republicans versus the Adams Federalists. The second age is from President Adams to Lincoln. That's the second age. What brings the paradigm shift? What brings that one to an end? The War of Northern Aggression brings that second age, that second paradigm, to an end. The third paradigm is what we might call the Reconstruction, and then the first Golden Age, which would be from President Johnson, I would say, all the way up until President Hoover. And then the fourth age is from Roosevelt to Johnson, and the fifth age is from Johnson to Trump. This is the sixth age. So we're in the sixth age. Somebody might disagree with the years that I'm putting on it, but I think I'm pretty close. So this is the sixth age. The sixth age, if you look at this, not through rose-colored glasses, look at it objectively. What is the sixth age doing? The sixth age is trying to restore the fourth age. You have modernity. You have modern manufacturing. You have the dawn of all the things that we have today, radio, television, electricity, all that stuff. This is all pre-Roosevelt now. What this age is trying to do is to restore the fourth age, but modernize it, basically. I don't think there's anything that is by definition wrong with that, but I think that there also is a restoration of sorts going on spiritually out there. And I think that, I'll tell you next segment about that. And I think that's the more important of the two. More time with family, less time chasing 3-4 part-time gigs, being always out, having always one of these things stuck in your hand, for hours upon hours a day, more time actually doing things with this or working in a vocation that you're doing things with this, and not with your consumption. What are the endorphin brain is going to lead to more people going like, well, you know what? I thought I really didn't like people. I don't think it's that that Maggie doesn't like people. I think she doesn't like people that are on the internet. I think that most people, when you actually have to interact with them personally, up close and personal, and there are always bad people out there, you can forge long-lasting bonds with people, and I think that that's also something that a larger family bases will restore. You know, imagine having, instead of 1.5 kids per household, 5.5 or 6. That's kids in different grades or in different homeschool levels, playing all manner of different activities, and all of that brings into a family. That's an awful lot of activity, which would leave very little time for the contrivances of single life and betting your life away on MGM or Sportsbook or whatever the hell else that they have out there. So, yes, I believe this is a paradigm shift. And the first sign is that the globalists in the world markets are freaking out today. And they are losing it. Good. You've earned your nuttiness. /join. That's JOIN, CrusadeChannel.com/join. Use the coupon code LIBERATION. I've extended the deal one more day because it was so great yesterday. So all of you guys listening on 990 AM WGSO, if you want to catch all 3 hours of this program, the easiest way to do it is become a Founders Pass member and sign up today. I'm practically giving it to you. CrusadeChannel.com/join. Coupon code LIBERATION. You get 1 year of the show, the premium stream, the chat room, the discount, the Founders Trading Post, the podcast, the whole shebang for $2.99 a month. But you got to do it today. And yeah, you got to pay for the whole year up front. It's $35.88. It's a great deal. I take me up on it. So, and I hope a bunch of people do today. So we extended it today. Again, CrusadeChannel.com/join. I wasn't expecting this, but I'm glad it happened. So, I got to put my glasses on so I make sure I see this correctly here. I made contact with someone, with an old friend, and she runs an audio video production company. There's going to be a big announcement on this. I'm not going to, because I don't want to undermine the thrill of it, but one of those Founding Father Films projects that we worked on 15 or so years ago is going to get a modern facelift, shall we say. So I was contacted about this 3 months ago, and they said that they wanted to do it, and I said, I don't have the time. It would kill me. The first couple of them almost killed me. And he said, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of all that. I'll tell you all about it when we're ready to actually christen the project and tell you exactly the details of it. So that's very exciting. But while we were talking, she says, is your show available? Syndication? I'm like, yeah. She goes, so what do I have to do to pick it up? And I said, where do you want to play it? And so I'm going to tell you all about it. Maggie has the image. It's the site is libertytalk.fm. libertytalk.fm. It's streaming on it right now. So I guess they pulled the trigger on it today because I gave them the code. So it picked up another affiliate. So there you go. The Crusade Radio Network Mike Church Show has expanded. And I'm going to tell you about another opportunity top of next hour you're not going to want to miss. Okay. So thanks to the fine folks over at libertytalk.fm who are now carrying the Mike Church Show. Okay. Maggie said, what are you going to talk about this segment? TKD, and I said we're going to keep talking about tariffs because it is a paradigm shift. There's an article here from LouRockwell.com by James Anthony. Tariffs meet halfway to freedom. Somebody asked me, oh, by the way, that reminds me. Maggie, if you go onto my Twitter, this is not an audio file. If you go onto my Twitter, there is a response that I made to the Philosophia, Thomistic philosophy professor C.C. Pecknold, who I haven't heard from in like a decade, yesterday. He posted an image of the 1880s Republican Party platform. I want everyone to see it. Do you see it? Yeah. It's on my Twitter. It'll be under replies. You'll see the image. And he posted it to someone that was going, this is not the Republican Party. We were never against free trade. We were goods and services were always crossing the ocean. Not true. That's not true. Trump is right. So you look at this image. It is from 1882. It should be on my Twitter.
This?
Yes, that. Yes. Show everybody that. Now I need to pull it up so I can actually see it. Okay, so I can see it on my little monitor screen. It's just very small. What do you see in the image? And what's the... Okay, you look at this... I know the first thing that is going to be said. It's about the principles of the Republican Party. And I know the first thing is going to be said, so let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. The first thing is going to be said, there's a giant pyramid in the middle. Khazarians! The Khazarians are coming! The Khazarians are coming! Run! Yep, there is a giant pyramid there. Apparently the Founding Fathers and the generations that admired the Founding Fathers had a thing about the pyramids. You know, Franklin had an obsession with drawing pyramids. Maggie says they're pretty cool. Oh, they are. If you draw a pyramid, that is a symbol of occultism. That is the only way a pyramid exists. And look, based on what we now know, what's underneath the Giza pyramid, I think that there was some really literally bring humanity to an end stuff going on as they were building those 1,863 feet tall towers underneath the largest Giza pyramid. In any event, this is from 1882. Principles of the Republican Party of the United States of America. And then on the pyramid, you see there at the top, I guess that is Ulysses S. Grant and his vice president. Standard pyramid of the Republican Party. Emancipation of slavery is a plank. Salvation of the general government. The Civil War, the War of Northern Aggression. That's a plank. Down at the bottom, you'll see that ribbon that goes across the bottom of the rocks that are at the base of the pyramid. What does it say? Protective Tariff Platform. To the left, you see protection to our farms and mines. To the right, you see protection to our trades and industries. And it's all inside a giant drawing of the United States, as you can see it there. There's no lines for states, although there is a delineation where Mexico is, and at the top you see Canada, right? So that is a drawing of the United States. Kind of interesting that all the way at the top of it, if you look at the top where Maine is, you see where I think that's Lake Huron. See where Lake Huron is? Note that line goes up over Maine and all the way into what is, I guess, Newfoundland today, or Newfoundland, however you want to pronounce it today. The interesting thing about it, this is what President Trump has been talking about with the golden age and what they had so much money coming in that the Treasury literally was balanced every year. Well, they were only spending 3.5% of GDP at the time. But right there, that is the entirety of the Republican Party as it existed at the time of Ulysses S. Grant, is organized under American manufacturing, American mining, American farming, and American trades. Fast forward 60 years, and that dominance ultimately is the trump card, if you will, that is played, that swings the pendulum away from the Russians and the Nazis and towards the English and the Allied powers, if you will, in World War II. So the United States was built in a protected economy with industries that thrived and citizens that thrived. You know, to have your citizenry taxed to the extent to put the resources and the labor into rosy riveting the munitions and the hardware needed to fight and then to win World War II was no small task. You know, you had to have that ability. You had to have that capability, kind of like baked into the cake in 1940 in order to make that happen. You know, the Bath, I know this story because I've seen a documentary about it. The Bath Shipyard in Maine. The Bath Shipyard in Maine was basically making very large sailing vessels. At the time, Franklin Bell, I want to say this is one in the Who Killed the Constitution book. Franklin Delano Obama Roosevelt basically told the Bath Iron Works that I'm commandeering you under the authority, some national emergency, the World War II emergency. I'm basically taking over the Bath Iron Works, and you're going to make nothing but battleships and destroyers. True story. And the Bath Iron Works, I want to say that they fought it in court and lost, and Roosevelt pretty much took it over, and that's how the United States was able to build the largest navy on earth, because of Roosevelt's unconstitutional actions of taking over. But the point is that the Bath Iron Works was actually capable of doing the job. He could have just asked them and said, look, how much do you want? That was part of the last or the beginning of the Fifth Age when Roosevelt did that. So then the sixth or the Fourth Age, it's the end of the fourth or the beginning of the fourth. And then the Fifth Age goes, as I said, from Johnson all the way to Obama. And then the Sixth Age, which we are now in, was Trump 1.0. There's an interruption in there. And now Trump 2.0, I think, with the tariffs and all that, will finish the job. But I just wanted to point out that the United States was a protected economy. So I don't know. I'm not sure what Rand Paul's hangup is and why he's filibustering this and but I know why Grassley and all the rest of them. Dude, they're being paid to do it. They have constituents, very highfalutin, very wealthy, extraordinarily wealthy constituents going like, you need to stop this or I'm going to lose. Yeah, but that guy losing engenders or empowers hundreds of thousands of other Iowans to prosper. It may not happen today, it may not happen next year, but it will happen if you stay the course. That is proof. That image right there from C.C. Pecknold is proof that tariffs work. And that it was the policy of the United States, and that Trump, as usual, whenever we go, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't take that bet. Is the point. Okay, so you could see that in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. That you show the U-boopers, because you guys could all see it too. Trump is determining, okay. This article is about the constitutionality of the tariffs. Tariffs unconstitutionally deprive each person of a different proportion of his liberty, as do all revenue sources other than fully flat taxes on labor income. I just have to disagree with this. It's in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8. Why do people want to live in a paradigm where the citizens of the United States are compelled, forced to, by law, by compulsion, to fund the welfare state, to be taxed on their labors. Article 1, Section 8. Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. What's a duty? A tariff. What's an impost? A tariff. What's an excise? Well, basically, a tariff of goods between states. Pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States, but all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. In other words, you can't have a tariff that just applies to one state. That's what that says. President Trump declaring that this is an emergency. He is exercising an executive authority under an emergency declaration, which is what they're trying to challenge. I was telling Maggie, those of you that are history nerds, you probably remember this from your history books. It used to be that, or there have been national acts where there were tariffs that were imposed. The most famous is probably the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, which supposedly brought on the Great Depression. I think that is terrible history, and that's not what happened, and that there were other factors that were involved. But yeah, Congress can do tariffs, because what you asked me earlier was, can Congress go in there and say they want to pass a tariff on Mexico? Yeah, absolutely. But when Congress does it, that's almost like a treaty. Remember, NAFTA was basically a treaty, which is why which is why you go back to when NAFTA was passed in, 92? Was it 94? That came out of the U.S. Senate. That was basically a treaty. That was the United States sitting down with the criminals and the crooks and the big businesses and with the Canadians and the Mexicans and divvying up the spoils of what they were about to steal. That all of that manufacturing was going to move to Mexico and all that other manufacturing was going to move to Canada, and the people were going to get ripped off, as Trump says, and we were until Trump 1.0 until NAFTA 2.0 was done. 844-527-8723. There was a big hoop-de-doo yesterday in the Rose Garden where Trump lays all this out. And they actually have a 400-page report. Did I send you the PDF file? I think I still have it open somewhere. Yeah, there's a 400-some-odd page report. He held it up yesterday, basically. And that you could use if you want to read the justification for all of it. I think we should play some of this. Why don't you play digital media file number 1? And I also want to talk about this today. Female fencer takes a knee. Take a knee. Takes a knee. And walks out against transgender rival as she tells ref, I will not fence against a man. Good for you. What was the dude doing in the Olympic qualifier? This guy was on the men's team. I looked this up. He was on the men's team last summer. Like not even a year ago. He was on the men's fencing team. Of course, because he was losing, he decided that, wait a minute, I can pretend I'm a woman. This is like the South Park gig where Macho Man Randy Savage, I'm here to compete in the women's weightlifting. Remember when Randy Savage shows up and the women's weightlifting and he's growing his hair out and they go like, you're a Macho Man Randy Savage, you're not a woman. Hey, bud, you better watch it there and call me ma'am. It's basically the same thing. U.S. fencer Stephanie Turner, who is now an American icon and an American hero, was scheduled to face Redmond Sullivan at the Cherry Blossom Tournament held at the University of Maryland. However, as the match was about to begin, Turner took a knee and removed her mask in a protest during the Division 1A women's foil event. She was subsequently shown a black card, which signifies that the player is immediately excluded from the competition and suspended for the remainder of it. Turner had completed 4 matches before facing Sullivan, who eventually placed 24th out of 39th in the competition. Dude, you couldn't beat girls. You invaded a girls' sport and you still sucked. Speaking about her decision, Turner said, I saw that I was going to be in a pool with Redmond for them. I said, okay, let's do it. I'm going to take the knee. I knew what I had to do because USA Fencing had not been listening to women's objections. I took a knee immediately at that point. Redmond Sullivan was under the impression that I was going to start fencing. So when I took the knee, I looked at the ref and said, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. I am a woman, this is a man, and this is a women's tournament, and I will not fence this individual. Redmond didn't hear me, and he comes to me, and he thinks that I may be hurt, or he doesn't understand what's said. Oh, did I hurt you, little girl? He says, are you okay? He probably said, are you like okay enough? And I said, I'm sorry, I have much love and respect for you, but I will not fence you. However, shortly afterwards, USA Fencing produced a statement in support of Sullivan and transgender participation in sport. This is insanity. This is a complete and total departure from reality here. This guy was competing in men's fencing events 9 months ago. And now, all of a sudden, you know what? And bless these girls. Bless your heart. Bless her heart. You know, while I say Stephanie Turner is an American icon now and a hero, I guess she doesn't want to be beaten up on social media. Oh, I really love you and respect. Why do you respect someone who's a cheater? He literally is cheating. That is the very definition of cheating. I don't respect anyone that cheats. As a matter of fact, I don't respect fat slobs that take the shortcut to everything they do. And that's probably why you are a fat slob. The statement read, USA Fencing enacted our current transgender and non-binary athlete policy in 2023. Policy was designed to expand access to the sport of fencing and create inclusive, safe spaces. Is it safe for the girls? It's going to happen when one of these girls gets jabbed through the heart with a fencing. It's not a lance. What do they call it? What do they? It's not a sword either. There's a term for it. What, she laid it. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's an épée? Is that what that is? In any event, we respect the viewpoints on all sides and encourage our members to continue sharing them with us as the matter evolves. The matter should be closed. The matter should be women fence against women and men fence against men. I can't wait to see. It's got to be something on True Social Media. By the by, I don't know if you guys saw this. A buddy of mine sent this to me yesterday and said, KingDude, did you see this? And just want to make sure I get the headline correct. Trump Trust plans $2.3 billion stock sale. Trump Media and Technology Group, the operator of True Social Media, filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to allow the sale of up to, how much is that? $2.3 billion worth of stock from the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust. The filing, which includes nearly 115 million shares, caused Trump Media stock to fall by approximately 7% on Wednesday, reaches its lowest level in 6 months. This move represents the trust's entire holding in the company and could potentially dilute existing shares if sold. Now, I have another friend that saw this and messaged me, and he goes, you know what that means, dude? And I said, I can guess. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not in high finance, but I can guess. It means True Social Media is in big trouble. And if you spent any time on the platform, you probably understand why it's in big trouble. I have an announcement that we're going to make next hour to that end. We'll talk about it. Also, 6 lessons from a once reluctant backyard chicken farmer. We'll play all the digital media file clips of the day, and we got lots of other news and stuff to get to. Oh, I can finally understand now why the Luna, what's her Laura Luna, why the proxy voting thing ground Congress to a halt. Tell you all about it next hour. Don't miss it.